The Day I Met Yemaya, Chapter 1, The Awakening. The sun felt heavy on her shoulders, a weight that had nothing to do with the heat. She stood in her driveway, flanked by two cars that shone with the polish of a life well earned. Her garden was a masterpiece of blooming color, the very picture of suburban peace. Yet, as she looked at it all, a hollow ache settled in her chest. She had the house, the things, the life, and yet she felt entirely empty. Then, the wind changed. It wasn't just a breeze. It was a physical presence that pressed against her skin, caressing her face with a strange, ancient intent. She stood frozen. The wind had blown every day of her 38 years, but today, for the first time, she truly felt it. In that moment of stillness, a spark ignited. Deep between her eyebrows, a point of white light began to throb. It wasn't a glow, it was a surge. Electricity raced through her veins, a cold, blue fire that mapped the path of her nerves. Her third eye, a part of her she never knew existed, was forcing its way open. The sheer volume of information was a tidal wave. The good, the bad, the ancestral, and the divine all rushing into her mind at once. The agony was unbearable. She clutched her head, her face contorting into a mask of pure suffering. She threw her head back and let out a guttural, soul-shattering scream. "Help me!" The world didn't just fade, it vanished. One second she was on green grass, and the next, she hit a floor of soft white sand. The transition was a silent, watery thud. She gasped, expecting the burn of salt water in her lungs, but instead, she felt a cool, effortless breath. She was at the very bottom of the ocean. She opened her eyes to a world of neon fish and swaying kelp. But it wasn't the sea life that stopped her heart. It was the shadows. Standing in the darkness behind the coral were figures, dark and obscured, defined only by their eyes. They were the bright-eyed people, their gazes piercing and brilliant in the deep. The figures parted like a curtain, and through them swam a creature of impossible majesty. A mermaid, her skin the color of the midnight sea, and her hair a vast, star-dusted afro that moved like a nebula in the current. She stopped inches from the woman's face, her expression a mix of regal power and motherly amusement. The woman's face froze into a stone-like mask of shock. She touched her throat, her mind racing. "Why am I here?" she breathed, her voice carrying clearly through the water. "What exactly am I doing here? How am I breathing?" The mermaid let out a rich, rhythmic giggle, her shoulders shaking with delight at the woman's innocence. "You've been asleep for a really long time," the mermaid said, her voice sounding like the roll of a distant tide. She gestured toward the glowing figures and the lights dancing in the deep. "You see these lights? These are your people. This is your blood. I am Yemaya, the mother of the waters. I have traveled with you and your bloodline from the very beginning. You wanted change. The wind came because you wanted more, and I brought you here. Now your journey begins." "My journey?" the woman stammered, the weight of her old life rushing back. "I'm 38. I have 3 children. I have a house. I have responsibilities. My life hasn't begun. My life is... I don't know what's going on, but I don't like this." Yemaya's eyes softened, leaning in until they were soul to soul. "Precisely. That is why I am here. No worries, my child. I will be here through it all. You are going back now, and you will learn many things. You will gain, and you will lose. Sometimes it will feel like you are losing your mind, but other times the magic will be so obvious you will cry with me. You will never be alone." Before the woman could protest, Yemaya raised a hand. A soft, iridescent light enveloped the woman, lifting her toward the shimmering surface far above. Pop! The woman stood in her front yard. The grass was dry. The cars were still there. The neighborhood was quiet. She stood in her gray hoodie, a few stray droplets of salt water evaporating from her hair, looking at her front door as if she had never seen it before. She was back, but the woman who had screamed for help was gone.